Hello, it's Besta and Steve, and welcome to Living in Portugal, Week 10.
This week, it's all about football. We went to our first European football game at our nearby stadium. We went back to the stadium a different day to do a tour, and we made a side trip to Cascais this week where we saw a whole different kind of football being played we didn't even know existed.
Yeah, stay tuned and check it all out, and thanks again for watching.
So we ventured out to our first football game. Of course, soccer, as we call it in U.S. football, is very big deal over here. And there are two main teams in Lisboa, Benfica, which is red team on the other side of town. And right near us, the green team is Sporting CP.
Every time we go out and about, you see stores that are focused on European football, and you have the red side and you have the green side. And we've been asked a couple times who our team is, and we're both like, we don't know. We just got here.
Right, but it does turn out that our local team is Sporting CP, which is Sporting Club of Portugal. Mm-hmm. And it turns out that the sporting team is the football team, but the Sporting Club of Portugal has 49 different sports, we found out.
I don't think I can name 49 sports without looking at like an Olympic roster, but yeah, the stadium was huge, but we found out that there's more going on in this big complex than just what you see on the green field.
So we did take a tour of the stadium. Before we talk about that, we went to our first game. What did you think?
Well, I'm not a big sports guy. I've gone to sporting events, but this, I was really captivated. And I was captivated in a whole different way than anything I did in the United States, because I was watching the game, which was interesting, but I caught myself like absorbing the culture of all the fans around us. It was really cool to kind of see how they interact with sports.
One of the things that was really interesting to me was that every time you saw people heading to a game, like on the metro or somewhere or walking to the game, they were always wearing these scarves. And these are like these heavy winter scarves, right? They're long, sort of like you would wear with a winter coat. And they have the sporting name or logo or something on it.
Bright green.
And it was like warm. And we were wearing a coat because it was still springtime here. But like, why are they always wearing these heavy scarves? Well, we found out.
We did. At the beginning of the game, everybody brings out their scarves, holds them up, showing the sporting logo. And it was the first time I think we're like, wow, this is really a huge community in the stadium right now. It was really cool to see, and we didn't have our scarves.
So the sporting team sings My Way in Portuguese. Mm-hmm. And what I loved about it was there was so much singing throughout the game. But this singing at the beginning was really important. First, they sang this sort of fight song where they all yell Sporting and stuff. It was very fun. But then they start the music and the entire crowd stands up, holds up their scarves facing toward the field. So the whole circle of the stadium has a wall of these scarves held up, and they all sang in unison. The music stopped and the crowd sang full voice in unison the song together. And it was such an astounding moment of sort of community.
It was really cool, too, because we don't speak Portuguese really well. But, of course, the music in that song is so iconic. We're like, oh, we know what's happening, so you could kind of like hum along. Couldn't sing along because we don't know the Portuguese version. But it was really cool. And like you said, it was all the way around the whole stadium seeing everybody do this.
So I found it very emotional. I love that there was so much singing all throughout the game. A group of fans would start a song, and then everybody would join in, sort of like as cheers. But instead of cheering or chanting or there being a marching band or something, like we would know at our American football type games, they just sang full voice. And I don't think we sing enough in our culture anymore. I wrote a blog post about this. If you go to timhinton.com and find my blog there, I wrote my experience of loving all the singing, so you can check out that there. But I enjoyed the game, and neither one of us know a lot about soccer. So unfortunately, we couldn't really follow the game closely, but it was exciting. You could tell when they were heading toward the goal and they would just miss and everybody would go, it was fun.
It was a lot of fun. And I also learned that whistling is not a compliment when you're in the stadium. It's like an equivalent of booing, from what I understand.
Absolutely. Yeah. So every time something questionable would happen, or one of the players on the other team would obviously be faking an injury or delaying the game in some way, this high-pitched whistling all over the stadium would just resound everywhere. It was very interesting. I guess there's just things we're learning about how football culture works in Europe. But I found it very exciting to go to the game. And we had a wonderful experience at the concession stand. We're trying to learn our Portuguese. And as always, when they have time and there's not a line, and we were there early, she stopped and talked Portuguese with us and let us sort of struggle through our order. And she was very kind, as the Portuguese people often are.
She was. I had a whole Portuguese sentence formed in my head, and I approached the counter, and she said, hello, in English. And I laughed and said, oh, you threw me. I was all ready. So she actually slowed down and spoke in Portuguese, and I ordered my popcorn and our drinks. And she was very sweet. So it was very much appreciated.
So we were at Jose Alvalade Stadium. Alvalade is the name of our neighborhood. And it turns out that we went back and took a tour another day. And this is sort of what we're talking about now. It turns out that the person that started the sporting club of Portugal here in Lisboa was Jose Alvalade. Now, that was not his real name, but everybody called him Jose Alvalade. And it turned out that he loved sports. He was asthmatic, I believe, but had trouble breathing. And he knew the importance of sports for himself and for others. And so his real trick was he convinced his grandfather, who had a lot of money, to fund this sporting club way back, early 1900s, I guess?
1906, if I remember right from the tour.
Right. So it was fun to take the tour and walk all over the stadium. The stadium is still named after Jose Alvalade, and that's where we were.
Yeah, and we learned that it was the second stadium. The other one used to be next door. Then they built this new one, and the tour we took was English speaking. So we were a group of English speakers who actually followed a Portuguese tour that was going ahead of us, and it was really cool to see the press room. We went into like the locker room area, not the full locker room, but like where they do all their sporty planning stuff, like you see. I don't do sports.
Nicely done.
Thank you. And then we went up to the president's box. We went out on the field or near the field. So it was really a neat perspective of the whole place. And you really got a sense of how huge this place was.
And just like at all stadiums, the president's box with the really comfortable seats way up high with the perfect view was really nice. But we sat, when we went to the game, way up in the end zone, and it didn't matter to me. Like, we could really see what was going on. Every seat in the stadium seemed to be a good one.
Yeah, we did not sit in the president's box.
We did not. But I enjoyed both experiences very much. Another piece of history that I loved, in the museum, there were all of the trophies from over the years and all the championships and the player awards and things that were there. I loved that early on in the 40s and 50s, there were 5 forwards who were wonderful and made the team very, very successful. And their nickname here in Portugal was the 5 Violins, which I love because I guess they were so good at playing that it was like making music. That's the only way I can imagine it. But you can see that there was a special tribute to the 5 Violins, and the sporting club had its heyday in the 40s and 50s, and I guess into the 60s, and still is one of the top teams today.
And it's important to remind you as you go through this museum too, that it's not just the football, soccer people. There is awards from all the different kinds of sports that they have, men's, women's, they have swimming. I mean, they have everything you can imagine.
49 sports?
Yeah, 49 sports. So when we walked into the museum, we were told that they're getting ready to build a new museum, and this is the old museum. So I was expecting like a small room. This place was massive. It was really impressive. And it was really beautiful.
So we loved that experience very much. And so I encourage you to go to a football game when you're in Europe if you have the chance. And of course, it looks like we may be Sporting fans now because that's very near our house and our local team.
It's very convenient.
Yes. And I like green a lot. So, that works out well too. So anyway, go Sporting. Then we made a side trip to Cascais because it's sort of like a resort city about 45 minutes away on a train here. Very easy trip to get there. A beautiful place, very posh, lots of good restaurants and food and things. But there was a natural wonder there that you wanted to see.
Yes, I wanted to see the Boca de Inferno, which translates to Hell's Mouth. It's this beautiful rock formation, and we did a lot of photos. We did a video of it there. You can see it in one of our other playlists here on YouTube, and also in our shorts. It has some cool history and a couple of really neat legends, which of course I'm all about. And then after we spent some time there, we walked back to the main district of Cascais and just kind of watched the beautiful beaches, and we discovered a new kind of sport.
Right. So there was a volleyball net set up there on the beach, and there were these men playing, and I have a little bit of video here, but you can see that they were not playing volleyball. They were playing what turned out to be foot volley, which is a really Brazilian thing. There's a lot of Brazilians that live in Portugal because there's a lot of history and commonalities there and a special association. But it was amazing to me. I think volleyball is tricky already. I think it's
Yeah.
hard to play. And they were not using their hands. They were playing it like football. So they were only bouncing it off their head or their body or kicking it or whatever. It was amazing to me.
There were some impressive moves, and I mean, it was just kind of captivating. And they had a crowd around them, just kind of watching them, and it looked like it was just a friendly game. Then they'd go into the water and cool off and come back. And I know the water had to be cold.
Yeah, nobody swims in the ocean in Portugal until like August,
That's
July, or
what we've
August
heard.
because it's so cold. We have not experienced that yet. We will soon.
Yes.
Be going to a little bit of a weekend beach trip, but it was wonderful to see these impressive athletes there on the beach playing footvolley. And I would say that the Boca de Inferno was one of the most beautiful places I've ever been. Just the rocky coastline and the vista of the ocean, which is absolutely amazing.
And the city of Cascais has done a really good job of making it accessible with walkways. And you can actually get down on the rocks, which is a little bit more dangerous and a little bit more slippery. I went down there and did a little bit of exploring, but there's a lot of really amazing overlooks to check out this place. So it's very tourist friendly. It's a very touristy area, which is fine with us. But the whole city is beautiful. We had a wonderful lunch and then caught the train and came back to Lisbon.
Yay for football. We're trying to be a little bit sporty. It was a great cultural event. I was glad that we did it.
Yes, and I think we're at the tail end of their season. So
Yes.
next year we'll be ready. We will know where to go.
But the World Cup is happening with the Portugal team this summer, so we'll be rooting them on, of course. And if you, by the way, Portugal's colors are red and green, so by the two teams are red and green here. And yeah, go Portugal football.